Thank you for joining us for the Crestview Middle School transition video. Unfortunately, we have to do it via video because we're still not allowed to have large groups in our schools. We wanted to begin this transition with our incoming sixth graders so that they can prepare to enter our school building in the fall. So, welcome to Crestview Middle School. I'm Dr. Gary Jansen. I'm the principal at Crestview. You will have a grade level principal and a grade level counselor who will be Marcy Morris that will be working with you for the next 3 years. The things that we focus at Crestview are making sure that we are taking care of the whole child. So we have a strong focus on character, which in the past has been part of our Leader in Me program, and we've been recognized as a Lighthouse School. And because of the activities that we've done with that and the other activities that we do at school, we've also been recognized as the National School of Character. Besides the character, we also have a strong academic focus. We make sure that our students are reaching high standards on a daily basis, and we've been recognized as one of the top-ranked middle schools in St. Louis. What I encourage you as you transition to is to make sure that you're staying up to date with all of our communication. You'll receive weekly emails from me, but I also encourage you to follow me on the social medias that are listed here on the slide, either at Twitter, that's a Crestview Facebook page, or on Instagram. We seek for our parents to be involved in school and become part of our Crestview Parent Organization. There's always some way that you can be involved in school. And we know that at this time it's often our middle schoolers don't want their parents to be around, but that is far from the truth. It is really important that you get involved in school. We are actually looking for some members to participate in our Crestview Parent Board as well, but whether you can volunteer in that or some other activities that we have at school. And if you can't physically be there, just make sure that you're staying engaged in the conversation. And just be a good partner with us. And you can do that by being a good example of how you can work with school. Our mission at Crestview is that we cultivate interdependent learners through high expectations. So as I mentioned before, we have high expectations for every one of our students, and we expect that they will reach those. Some may need a little more support, which we'll help them with, but we have the same high expectations for all of our students. And an important word that you'll find in there is interdependent. It means our students need to work with one another. We expect them to collaborate and be partners with each other in their learning. Our vision is focused upon serving, learning, and leading. We expect that all of our students and all of our staff follow this. So we see learning taking place every single day in all of our classrooms. Our students will have multiple classes where they will be able to do that on a daily basis. We expect that our students take leadership. We don't want to be the ones that are running all the activities and speaking at assemblies. Typically, these meetings are run by students, and we'll expect our students to step up and take leadership roles at Crestview. And finally, we expect that all of our students will participate in some way that they're giving back to their community in some form of service activity that'll happen throughout the school year. Now we will hear from some of our former sixth graders who can share some more information about what is happening at Crestview.
Hello, my name is Julia, and I'm going to share information with you about what language arts class will look like next year in middle school. Language arts will be based in 4 different areas: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Students will be expected to read several novels, write a narrative, an argumentative, and an informative paper. Students will also work on vocabulary and grammar. They will begin to research different topics and practice study skills. It is important for parents to make sure their children read at least 30 minutes per night. Parents should check their child's leadership notebook and Infinite Campus, but at the same time, parents should encourage their students to become independent learners. Some advice I have for all of you is that if there's a board on the outside of your teacher's door, check it every day and make sure you have everything you need for class. And our language arts teachers are I hope everyone has an amazing time in their new language arts class.
Hi, 5th graders. My name is Connor Gleason, and I am proud to have the honor of talking about 6th grade life science. During science class, students will explore the relationships of living things in an ecosystem and learn about matter and energy. We learned about the structure, function, and processes within cells and various life functions of organisms. Along with this, we learned how different organisms adapt to their environments. Students will have frequent opportunities to utilize microscopes and participate in hands-on experiments. They will also do field studies, including one as a fishing field trip. They will also investigate plants and animals and do outdoor learning, including a 4-day, 3-night camp experience in Babbler State Park. The 6th grade science teachers include Mrs. Betts in Silver Hall, Mr. Polster in Blue Hall, and Miss Kavanaugh in Gold Hall. My favorite part of science is the cells unit, where we learn about plant and animal cells and how they function. I like this unit because it is so fascinating, and at one point, we actually get to look at cells under a microscope. I'd never done that before, so it was really cool. I hope you all look forward to 6th grade life science. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Logan Rhodes, and I'm going to speak with you about Math 6. Students in Math 6 class will spend a lot of time on number sense, theory, and numerical operations. We understand the ins and outs of fractions and some geometry. Proportional relationships, including rates and ratios, will be included. We have learned variables, expressions, and equations. We will begin to think statistically, even as 6th graders. My favorite thing about Math 6 is the teachers introduce fun games to help us learn. If I could offer one helpful piece of advice, it would be to pay attention in class. If you do not, you may miss key concepts and not understand the lesson being taught. The math teachers are Mrs. Martin, Mr. Snyder, and Mrs. Wiseau.
Hi, I'm Libby Van Bergen, and I'm going to be speaking to you about two content areas, history and PE. The focus of our history class will be around world history. We start with learning about early humans and the Stone Age. We then explore several civilizations, including Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, India, Greece, and Rome. We evolve in learning about the Middle Ages in Europe, along with ancient Africa. We learn a great deal about the societies like the Mayas, Incas, and Aztecs. A lot of work is completed through Google Classroom. My favorite part of history is we do many fun hands-on activities, followed by fun worksheets. I recognize that history is very fun, but fair. My advice for history is, and you've probably heard this before, but always be prepared. Bringing the correct materials for a class is the best thing you could do for the teacher. Additionally, it's a whole lot easier than running to your locker and back. The history teachers at CMS are Mr. Coppinger, Mrs. Huster, and Mrs. Stoll. During physical education, we learn to play various team sports, besides learning new games and enhancing some skills in familiar games. We also learn vital life skills such as collaboration, teamwork, and communication. There are several health topics that we learn as well, including hygiene, nutrition, our body systems, and the harmful ways that tobacco, and vapor can impact our body. Students will have PE every other day. We do wear PE uniforms, which can be purchased online before school begins or during class the first days of school. My favorite part about PE is the activities we learn to do. We always have fun while working out. Another part that I like about PE is the workout room. I enjoy running on the treadmills and cycling on the bikes. I always look forward to the runs in the summer and spring. My advice for PE is always bring your uniform. It's much more comfortable than regular clothes. Also, remember to clean your uniform at least once every week or during the weekend. The 6th grade PE teachers are Mr. Metter and Mrs. Marquardt. Bye. Thanks. Stay safe and healthy.
I want to thank our former 6th graders for helping us with the beginning parts of this video to discuss each of our core classes. Just so that you're aware of how our schedule operates, our students will have language arts every single day, and then they will have 2 of the other 4 core classes of science, history, math, and PE each day. The plan for next year is to return to an A-day, B-day schedule where they will have 3 core classes and 2 electives each day. Many of your students will be eligible to participate in our challenge courses. That information will be coming from our district later on in March. So when you're signing students up for classes, these will not be an option for you. We're just focusing on the electives, and when you receive that challenge information, we will communicate with you at that point in time and make the necessary changes in Infinite Campus. When you're making your decisions about whether or not you should put your children in challenge classes, there's lots of things to consider, but most importantly is just want to make sure that you're thinking about that middle school is still a developmental time for your kids. Too many challenge classes can be overwhelming for kids and can cause some undue stress. We don't need middle school to be just a miniature high school. This is a time for them to grow and explore, begin to understand things that they have interest in. And some of the things can certainly wait for high school, such as their foreign language requirements or their advanced maths. But we do know that some of you will consider those, and we just make sure that you think about those and how your student will be able to handle that work. If your child is in need of special needs, whether or not they have an IEP or a 504, we will certainly be meeting the requests of each of those families and making sure that those plans are put into place for each of our students. There will be transition meetings as we move further into spring with our current case managers to help our students be ready to transition to middle school in the fall. In previous years, we've had mentor time, and our plan is to continue a program like that, but that is an opportunity similar to like a little bit of a homeroom where we would meet with a small group of kids. It would happen on every Monday. There's lots of activities that would take place during that time, but it's a place and time where every kid will know that they have one adult that is certainly looking out for them and making sure that they are on track to meet their goals, helping them with their social emotional needs, and lots of other things. So the plan is for us to continue that on our Mondays when we return to hopefully a normal school year next year. So for all of our students who are going to take some exploratory classes besides band, orchestra, choir, these are the 8 classes that they will take. So there's art, there's a design class, theater arts, French and Spanish, FACS, digital ignition, and STEM. So if you don't take one of the music classes, you will be taking all 8 of these. However, if you do take the music classes, then you'll just pick some of those classes. And our elective full years are mixed choir, intermediate orchestra, and beginning band. So as I mentioned, if you are going to take one of the musical classes, you could possibly take 2 of them, and that would be all of their electives. Not many students choose this, but that is an option for them. Many of our other students just choose one musical class, and then they will choose 4 of those electives that were listed on the previous screen. And then a lot of our students will also choose to not take a music class, and then they will take all 8 of those exploratory classes. So you should have received lots of information along with this video from Ms. Morris. She's going to be your child's counselor. All the information is in several of those emails that she has sent. We are not collecting course selection forms. We're going to ask that your students don't even need to complete the online registration in Infinite Campus. We will make sure that all of that information is put in. We just need the students to complete the Google form, which lets us know which elective classes they would like to take. All of our students will be placed on teams. They're blue, gold, and silver are the teams. There's nothing different with them. It's just a color to label them. Each one of them will have a core group of teachers, which is made up of 2 language arts teachers, 1 math, 1 science, and 1 history teacher. Each of the teams are diverse in many ways. We make sure that there's an equal distribution of all students on each of the teams. And just because you're on blue team for 6th grade doesn't mean that you'll continue on blue for 7th and 8th. That is all mixed up every single year. So students have a chance to meet lots of students during their middle school career. So we typically have an orientation. We certainly would have liked to have done this one in person, but certainly can't do that at this point in time, where we try to work on developing a parent-teacher partnership. But other ways that we're going to do that is through email. You'll receive information from families in Infinite Campus, receive phone calls. We'll have parent-teacher conferences. There will be information shared through Google Classroom and through Canvas. We don't know what the fall will look like, but we're hoping that we will be able to return to having a back-to-school event. We do not have dates for that. We'd like to go back to having a web orientation. Web is for where everybody belongs. And that is just an introductory day for our 6th graders to get to know Crestview and get to meet some of the students. It's typically held a week or two before school begins, so just look out for information coming from us about those days. You can also be able to find lots of information on our Crestview website or other messages that may be sent to you. So just a couple logistical things. Our school starts at 7:47. We do not open our building until 7 o'clock. So if you're driving your child to school, you cannot unload them until 7 o'clock. Our buses unload at 7:15. This year we sent the students a class ride at 7:15. We may go back to our 7:27 time of sending them to the start room, or we may keep it at 7:15 for next year. But their first class will begin at 7:47. Dismissal is at 2:39. If you're picking up your student, we ask that you get them by 2:45. Hopefully we can get back to having some after school activities, and they end at 3:40. So we know that all of our students most likely have a cell phone. We know that you'd like to have them so they can communicate with you when they're on their way home or when they get into their house safely. We just ask that they're off and out of sight during the school day. We've always had them kept in lockers, and this year we just aren't using the lockers, so they've just been held in students' backpacks. It'll be a very similar situation for next year. If the students have them, they need to be off and out of sight. For using the lockers, then they will need to be stored in there throughout the school day. There's no need for them to do that. If they need to make a phone call, they can come to the office and use one. If you need to get a hold of them, you can call us and we can get the message to them. And as I mentioned about the lockers, we'll see what next year brings us. But if we have the lockers available for students, they will each have their own. Students would need 2 locks if that is the case, one for PE and one for the hallway. 6th grade lockers are pretty skinny, and we have locker organizers available to purchase typically at our back to school events. So that's something to look forward to hearing about as we approach the fall. But we will keep you up to date about how things are going and what regulations we have in place about whether or not we'll have locker usage and what that'll mean for students with backpacks and similar items when we return in the fall. Every one of our students will be issued a Chromebook. The expectation is the students have that with them every single day at school, that they put their charger at home so that they can charge their Chromebook every single night at school. If they have a fully charged Chromebook, it will make it through the entire school day, and there will not be a need to bring that charger to school. We always encourage them, wherever they're going to plug in their phone for the night, to put their Chromebook right next to it so that they don't forget either one of those things when it's time for them to come to school. In previous years, we've had tons of activities that are taking place at Crestview. On the screen are many of the ones that we've had in the past. Our goal is to return to that when we begin school next year. We just have to continue to work with our district offices and our transportation department to see how many of these things we can continue to offer for our students, but the goal is to get back to as many of those as possible. Here's some additional ones. Track, volleyball, and cross country are typically district-wide events and not specifically an event for Crestview. If we do have activities and the activity bus is available, there's only one bus. So obviously every student that wants to take the bus home at that 3:40 time slot would not be able to take that bus. So there's a sign up, and it just becomes a first come, first serve, and we use a Google form to have students sign up for that. Your students will hear more information about that before we begin activities in the fall. Typically, we don't start them right away, so there's lots of times for us to get that information to you once that fall semester begins. So we know that there may be lots of questions. You're welcome to call us at school at 636-891-6950. You can email me at jansongary@rsdmo.org. And if you have some further questions, you're welcome to join us at our Zoom transition meeting this Wednesday. That information is also included in the email from Ms. Morse. Thank you.